Good morning again, guys. Yeah, it's Friday. And here we are. And it ain't even 9 o'clock and I'm recording this. Okay, so here's my question. How ready are you if war breaks out? And I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios here. Today's May 6th, and all the propaganda out there is saying on May 9th is when Putin is going to press the red button. Okay, now whether or not it's against the United States, whether or not it's against Ukraine, whatever it is, but apparently the people in Russia are pretty worried about this. All right, so just something to consider. Are you ready for something like that? I mean, to respond. I mean, even though it's 8,000 miles away, it's not like it's going to be, no, gee, you know what, they did that. I mean, that will escalate quickly. But how ready are you for something on American soil in your backyard? And I'm going to give you this. That probably won't be against the Russians. That's going to be, and this gets talked about quite often. Somebody even asked about it on the live stream the other day. Civil war. Have you noticed what's going on in the last few days? The Supreme Court now has riot control fencing around it to protect the justices. Justice Alito had a public speaking engagement canceled because of threats on his life, numerous threats on his life. Some leftist organization published the home addresses, at least the supposed home addresses, of each of the 6 conservative justices online and told people to go to their houses and harass them. Now, who's going to follow stuff like that? Oh, I don't know, Antifa, the poster child for Democrat supporters. Antifa, they stand outside with picket signs all the time and just chant, right? That's all they do. They don't make Molotov cocktails or take weaponry or anything like that. Okay. Some of the justices have small children. Mind you that. Okay. This is what's going on, and this is something that we need to be concerned about because it may wind up in your backyard real quick. Whether it's something going on with Russia, because God knows the politicians and the head honchos at, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, pick something, certainly would love to go to war. Can't think past here, because, when you go to war, stuff comes to you too. All right? It's not just, war isn't going out to the range and all the bullets are flying north. Some come back south in a war, okay? And, with all the talk about, with everything going on in Russia, I mean, the Russian minister to the United Nations said yesterday that NATO is not taking the threat of nuclear war seriously. Basically coming out and saying, Russia's serious. If NATO doesn't start effing around in Ukraine and bragging about helping sink the Moskva, shooting down a transport plane with a whole bunch of Russian troops on it, for sharing intelligence. I mean, we all know this is going on. But when the administration is coming out and saying, gee, look at us, we got all this done, and we killed a whole bunch of people by shooting down a plane. Those are reasons for a declaration of war against the United States, or against Canada, or against Australia, or whoever admits doing it. But in this case, this is the Biden administration bragging about their involvement in destruction and murders, killings of Russian citizens, Russian soldiers. Now, mind you this, we have not declared war against Russia. So therefore, whatever we are doing is not legal. Just giving you that. So, what happens if it comes here? I got an interesting email last night from one of y'all, and I'm going to show the letter that was in here. Now, I blacked out on here all the names and the phone numbers just to protect the person that sent me the email, all right? Because obviously I don't want his job or her job, as the case may be, to be in jeopardy. But they work at Fleet Farm. And this is a email about ammunition prices going up between 10 and 30% in 11 days. Now, why would we see that kind of increase in the cost of ammunition? Twofold. One, because the ammo suppliers need to give more to the military, and so there's less for individual consumption, okay? Or two, they just can't get the material. And that would be maybe the administration going, stop making stuff for the American public so they're easier to control. Let's use that word. It might behoove everybody, if you haven't already got your stockpile as full as you want it, which, like anything else in prepping, there's never enough. It might behoove you to pick out another box or another case of your preferred projectile. Let's just look at it that way. Because the question comes, what if, and depending on where you are, okay, where I am, I'm going to have some notification, that the world's gone to hell. Sharps Chapel, Tennessee is not going to be any sort of primary target for Antifa or Russia to attack. But if you live in Cheyenne, Wyoming, New York, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., primary targets, yeah, you might want to be a little bit more prepared for what could be potentially on your doorstep in a couple of days, May 9th. That's just Russia. What about all this stuff with the Supreme Court? What about all this, we're raising hell? The left is doing, notice that you haven't heard anybody come out and decry death threats on a Supreme Court justice from Congress, okay? Nobody's come up and said, we can't go this far, guys. We need to stop. I denounce this. Notice you have not seen that out of Nancy Pelosi. You've not seen that out of Chuck Schumer. Well, if they're not denouncing it, they stand up and we want somebody to denounce the fact that they're anti-Israel. They said something that was negative against homosexuality or whatever it is. But they're not denouncing open calls, death threats on a Supreme Court justice's life. That is very telling to me what they want. They are pushing for a war because they know they're going to lose power in November should the elections go through. Okay? So you can bet in the next 6 months, anything and everything, throw the baby out with the bathwater time for the Democrats, because they know they got 6 months to completely change this country or lose it forever. And if that means doing it with violence, that the Democrats now seem to be highly supportive of, that's what they're going to do. And all I can tell you is this. I hope to God there are a whole lot of people out there who say, hell no, that ain't happening. Something I might watch real closely here. I want to see what the rate of purchase is, if you will, for things like lime. Not that there's futures on the stock market for it, but there might be a call for that. Have a good one. Pinball out.